Or I'll hold his other side if we have to.
All right, everyone. We are going to spend the first few minutes in this room here. Let our eyes get adjusted a bit. Are you guys smelling any funky smells yet?
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. Do you guys know what coatimundis are? No. So they are part of the raccoon family, but they do have a longer snout and a longer tail. They're super cute. We do have a lot of pictures posted of them outside of the cave system and several inside the gift shop as well. We have a troop of about 30 of them, and at nighttime they usually sleep on this little shelf right over here. We don't lock them out or lock them in or anything like that. They can simply just squeeze in and out of our gates. They do have kind of a wet dog smell. And right above where those coatis sleep, can you guys see this black shiny stuff?
Yeah.
So that is going to be bat pee. Another good reason to not touch the rocks, right?
Yeah.
We do have 7 different species of bats here. You may or may not see any today. Most of them have migrated. Our cave stays at 71 degrees all year round, no matter what's going on outside. And that's just a little bit too warm for them to hibernate in. 5 out of our 7 species will go up north for the winter, and our other 2 species go down to Mexico. They will all meet back here at Colossal Cave in about, like I said, April to mid-October. I have seen some stragglers recently, so if you're lucky, you might see some today. The bats have kind of a litter box smell. So that, mixed with the coatimundi wet dog smell, is going to be some of the interesting scents you will experience on your tour today. And right above the bat pee, this up here is going to be a smoke stain. This was left by the Hohokam Native Americans, and they used our cave from 900 until 1450 AD. They would use it for ceremonial purposes, shelter, and for storage. We're not sure why they left, but it wasn't until 1879 when the next man came along. His name was Solomon Lick, and he owned the Mountain Springs Hotel about a mile away at the time. He was also a cattle rancher, so one day he was rounding up cattle, and he noticed what he thought was a draft. The original entrance was only about 2.5 feet wide, so Solomon Lick climbed on in. He noticed this was a really cool cave, and he started using it as a gimmick to bring more business to his hotel. Unfortunately, he would let a lot of his guests come in and break off their own souvenirs, so that did result in a lot of vandalism. I'll kind of point that out as we continue, but before we continue, any questions yet? All right.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. Oops. Everyone. So the room right behind me is what we call our crystal
forest. This is where you can see a lot of that vandalism that I mentioned. All of these stalactites are the ones hanging down. You can remember that because they hang tight to the ceiling. You can see most of our stalactites have been broken off. This will almost never happen naturally, so this is all going to be man-made damage, unfortunately. Our cave has been drying out for the past 10 to 12,000 years, collecting lots of dust and lots of dirt. But if water were to make its way back into our cave system, all of these stalactites would be really pretty, really shiny, really sparkly. That is because all of the calcite crystal from underneath would be exposed. This one is a stalagmite. You can remember a stalagmite because stalagmites grow up and you might trip over them. This one's name is Old Baldy. He has been giving people luck for a really long time. Old Baldy is going to be considered a dead formation though. As I mentioned earlier, the oils and the dirt from our skin can cause damage to the formations, and what that does is it works as a barrier. So if water were to make its way back into the cave, it would actually just slip right off of Baldy, kind of like a raincoat, preventing him to grow anymore. That being said, Old Baldy is the only formation in the entire cave system that you are allowed to touch. So I'm going to hop down. You guys can all get it out of your system and get some luck from Baldy. Oh my goodness. Please pass, you guys. Oh, excuse me. No, you're good. Thank you. All right, and as we are passing by, everyone, especially in the back, make sure you check out this angle straight ahead. It's actually just a 90-degree angle of the crystal forest, but it's a beautiful photo-taking spot. And also right above me is going to be our largest stalactite that we have in the entire cave system. His name is Fang, and he weighs about 2 tons. If you bump into him, he is not going to move. Another good reason to get some luck from Old Baldy. Taller folks don't hit their head as much in the cave. So as we are passing by, like I said, don't forget to check out this angle straight ahead, and also everybody watch out for Fang as well. drapery room. We call it that because of this formation right up here. When water drips at an angle containing that calcite mineral and that builds on top of each other in thin layers, this is the outcome. If you guys come over and look straight up, you'll see what kind of looks like alligator teeth. So those ones are called halictites. You'll probably have to scooch in a little bit more to this side and then you'll be able to see them. So unlike the stalactites and the stalagmites that grow up and down, halictites will grow out, and in some cases they can even start to spiral, looking like spaghetti or tree roots. Another cool thing about halictites is that to this day, scientists and geologists are still debating how and why they form that way. And back in 1923, a man named Frank Schmidt came along. He was not cool with all of that vandalism taking place, so he ended up gaining the full rights to Colossal Cave. Back then it started out as just a mining claim, and they actually mined out bat guano from here. They would use it for gunpowder back in the early 1900s. By the time it was all said and done, there were 7 train carts full of bat poop. So, another interesting smell. 1934, they decided to start doing the first commercial tours, so they welcomed the Civilian Conservation Corps, or the CCC, to come in and put in all of these floors, stairs, rails, and even the original lighting system. Back then, they were charging 25 cents per person per tour, but they were taking a big risk because that was during the Great Depression. The men on board got paid $1 a day, but 75% of that had to go home to a beneficiary. They figured it was a good skill and trade they were learning, though. They did have room and board, but their camp was about a mile hike away. They also got beans for breakfast, beans for lunch, and beans for dinner. Over here we have some interesting landmarks. To this day, cavers will find certain formations they can remember. This way they don't get lost inside the cave system. So first we have our cave witch. Here is her long witchy hair, her eye, wart, long witchy nose, snaggletooth, and she's eating a limestone cookie. She is a good witch. If you were ever to get lost in here, her nose points out to the exits. And this is her cat named Shadow.
Oh, that's
and
great.
we also have Mr. Magoo. Here's his
Oh,
eye,
yeah, totally see him.
nose, and he's eating an ice cream cone. We do have a lot of fun formations in here, so don't worry, I will point out all of them. Next area we go to, we're going to go down what's kind of like a hallway, and you will see what looks like a clock coming up on your right. It's actually going to be our cave barometer. It shows you all the weather that we get in the cave, which is none. As I mentioned earlier, we do stay at 71 degrees all year round, no matter what's going on outside. Humidity ranges from about 40 to 55%, and barometric pressure stays the same as it is outside. Okay. When you guys are ready, you can follow me.
Okay.
Is it open? Here, I'm gonna, is this here? No.
Here, just. Okay, stairs.
Here we go.
Where are you going?
Watch out. God.
Must have found that again.
Coming up on your right, you will see our
Look, you guys. Look at that. Oh, that's cool. Nobody would know this stuff in a mountain like this.
I know, huh?
Whoa. Is that the escape route?
Ooh.
Coming up on your left, you will see some artifacts that the Hohokam Native Americans left behind. Lots of pottery, pigments, and a metate and mono that helps grind down seeds and corn and things. These all would have been found in that first entrance room that we just started in.
Oh, what do we got here?
And another fun formation coming up on your left. This one is going to be our string of pearls. Long time ago, there was a hot springs underneath the hunk of limestone that we are standing in today. You will notice we have a very Swiss cheesy, kind of jaggedy look to our cave system. That is going to be from the sulfuric acid eating away at the limestone.
You want that?
Be lucky I don't take you up to the car right now. I'm just gonna get something to
No. You'll be fine.
eat out. He's so mean.
He's just having moments today for some reason. Yesterday, he didn't
He
have
did
no
great.
moments.
Yes, he's happy as could be.
Oh, look at that.
Switch it around.
We're coming. I'm going. Let's go. Whoa, look at that, honey. Wow.
¿Es que brillen, miras?
I got you, baby. Hmm? Hmm?
Wow.
All right, so anyone who is behind this wall, go ahead and pick a side, either side, just so you're not stuck behind there while I'm showing you cool stuff. All right, so when we were a wet cave, right up here where my light is shining is where the water line would have been. So we would all be underwater right now. And I showed you guys our largest stalactite that we have in the cave system. Right behind me is going to be our largest stalagmite. For those of you in the back, again, once we loop around, go ahead and take your time and check out this room a bit better if you want to. This room is also known as our altar room. Back when the CCC was here, if they met someone and they wanted to get married, they would actually hold their wedding in this room right here. It holds 8 people, and we do still offer weddings there to this day. We do make you wear a hard hat and a headlamp, though, so as long as it goes with your dress. And does anybody in here like science fiction or horror movies at all?
Yes, yes.
Have you ever heard of Night of the Lepus?
I have not.
All right, so back in 1971, that was one of our first horror films ever created at Colossal Cave. It's about giant mutant killer bunny rabbits. Could be why you missed it, right?
Yeah, could be.
If you watch
That's
Mystery
awesome.
Science Theater, they have an episode on that. I
Okay.
recommend it.
Okay.
1981 was Frankenstein's Island. But our most popular film is actually not a horror movie. It is a Sesame Street movie. So Big Bird, Cookie Monster, the whole gang comes down here looking for lost treasure, which is really just birdseed and cookies. They run into our cave T-Rex. This is the eye, brow, nose, and mouth. So Cookie Monster gets so scared that he runs off that way, and then Big Bird crashes into this wall.
That's great.
That is a natural keyhole formation, so no damage had to be done to the cave. It already looked like Big Bird. One of our former managers named Joe Meyerhauser had some friends in Hollywood. They came down here, saw what looked like the T-Rex, saw what looked like the Big Bird outline, thought they could do something with it, so they did. If you guys have nothing better to do, you can find all of our movies on YouTube.
That's awesome.
Okay, come here, bud. Okay, you ready?
There we go.
Ready? Yes.
Roll in.
We have had a lot of outlaws hide out in our cave system. Coming up, you will see their necessities. Oh, I see why they said that.
What? Oh, yeah.
Back in the early 1900s, they did not have hard hats and headlamps like we have today. Instead, they would use a regular cloth cap, attach a carbide lamp to it, and that works similar to a blowtorch. So you're thinking you have a blowtorch attached to your head, climbing up and down rope, holding a candle, not super safe.
Not at all.
And back when the CCC was working down here, they did not use any explosives. They did use hand tools only, but the wheel on this wheelbarrow alone weighs about 60 pounds. It took the CCC 4 years total to get all of these pathways, stairs, rails, lines, everything done by hand. They also had to bring in all of this flagstone separately as well, so pretty impressive.
Be very, very careful. Very, ooh.
Alright, so this room is known as Frank's living room. Frank Schmidt actually spent about 6 days straight down here when he was mapping out the cave system. So he knew that the cave stayed nice and cool in the really hot Arizona summer months. Him and his family used to live in what is now our souvenir shop, so occasionally they would bring down some chairs and some tables and use this area as an actual living room. Joe Meyerhauser, the guy that had the friends in Hollywood, would host poker games in this room every Saturday night. And I kind of pointed out that outlaw gear, so we have had a lot of bank robbers, train robbers, you name it, hide out in our cave system. But our best story is about the Pantano gang. They stole $172,000 worth of gold from Wells Fargo. The sheriff chased them to Colossal Cave, but he decided instead of climbing in, searching in all the different nooks and crannies, that he was just gonna wait it out, because they had to come out at some point. Well, what he did not know was that there was more than one exit. So while he was waiting for them, the Pantano gang found that exit, and they made their way to Wilcox, Arizona. They went straight to the saloon, started talking, and so eventually the word got out. Sheriff hears about it 2 weeks later, and he decides to make his way to Wilcox. They have a big gunfight, and 3 out of the 4 members do not survive. Last member, they gave him the option that he could simply just tell them where the gold was hidden, or he could go to prison. He chose to go to prison because he thought he could break out, but he did not. So the story is that the gold is still hidden in here somewhere. We keep looking, haven't had any luck. But if for some reason you guys come across it, just remember I'm your tour guide. I can show you how to get out of here.
That's awesome.
Once you guys get down these next set of stairs, you will be in the deepest part of this side of the cave, which is about 6 stories underneath the parking lot.
Woo! Wow. You wouldn't even notice it, huh?
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't even seem like it.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Look at that. Look at that.
Yes, you were. Just like the one right there.
top of each section while the flow stone flows down just like water. This is also a great photo taking spot, so feel free to snag some pictures if you like. Okay,
Let's go, come on. Let's next level. Come on.
We are now approaching our El Diablo staircase. Some of these steps are a bit misshapen. Also, taller folks, watch your head. Some of the cave does come down a bit, so just be mindful of that. And again, take your time, use the rail if you need.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait. There you go.
Squeeze right here. It's a tight squeeze right here. Gosh. Jesus, this is... These are what you call stairs. Watch your heads, guys. Oh, look at the crystals in here. This crystal. Oh!
Alright, if you guys don't mind, just kind of squeezing in the best you can. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Excuse us. Sorry.
Alright, so this is going to be our sinkhole, also known as Frank's Shortcut. Right where my light is shining, that's where we all just were a few moments ago in Frank's living room. So he would actually tie a rope around this rock right here, throw all of his equipment down, and then make his way back down into his living room. We also use this area for our wild cave tours, but we start at Frank's living room and then we free climb all the way up to where we are standing right now. We don't use any ropes or any harnesses. It is a free climb. There is a pretty big waiver involved though. It is super fun if you're into that kind of thing. And this is also going to be our last stop on the tour today. Do you guys have any questions, comments, anything you wanted to see but did not see today? All right, well, anybody who wants to kind of loop around, check out this angle of the sinkhole, you are welcome to. I'm gonna make my way up to the top of this next set of stairs, and then whenever we're all ready, we will head out.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for visiting. Yeah.
Did you know that my name is Hazel? So I'm gonna start calling you Hazel.
Right? Thank you.